he does right now. I heard you just say they haven't made a decision whether they're going to buy or sell. Well, they're going to let the market make that determination. If somebody really wants Scott Lawton, I'm sure Danny's going to listen.
Oliver Bjorkstrand with a different name, right?
What's that?
Oliver Bjorkstrand with a different name.
Yeah, Scotty's more of a heart and soul player maybe than Bjorkstrand. Bjorkstrand maybe in terms of what they bring on the ice is similar, but Bjorkstrand's got a little more offensive upside. Scotty can do so many things for your team. But, yeah, both versatile players.
The thing is those two players that Tampa picked up, as good as they are, they're never going to come here to Philadelphia in any type of trade scenario. They work for Tampa Bay. Those players do not work for the Philadelphia Flyers at this given time.
Exactly. I mean, in 4 or 5 years, hopefully the Flyers are in a position where they can make those trades. But right now, it's about accruing assets. The thing is, though, the Flyers have done a great job. Danny's done a great job of stockpiling picks. The Flyers don't really need picks right now.
They got 7 in the first 2 rounds.
Right. So I think they're looking to try to make a hockey trade.
But no Reynolds, would you agree?
No Reynolds. No.
The only way there would be a rental would be if there was some kind of injury we don't know about to a player and they're completely out of. For instance, if Sam Ersson got hurt last night, they'd probably have to go out and get a goalie just to finish the season. But no, like Eric Johnson was picked up last year on D because they were all banged up at the time. But it wouldn't be a major trade. They're looking to get, there's some young players out there that are available. I know a guy who I'd love to get in Philadelphia is Dylan Cousins. I don't know if the Flyers have the wherewithal. I don't think the Sabres are probably interested in picks themselves because they have so many young players.
Didn't the Phillies have a guy named Dylan Cousins?
They did.
Yeah.
He was with Hoskins. They were the Bash brothers
Playing
to the
hockey
minors.
now, huh?
Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he transferred over to hockey. No, it's a different Dylan Cousins.
Hey, Brad, Danny Briere, we always talk about untouchable in sports. I know you were traded at the deadline once. To me, nobody's untouchable ever in any sport, period. It's just saying I'm going to close my mind and not listen. August 9th, 1988, I keep bringing that date up, when Gretzky traded. Obviously, it would take a ton to get a Konechny or a Sanheim or a lot of players around the league, McDavid, but untouchable is a phrase that doesn't exist. If somebody's going to give enough, you'll listen to any offer, right?
I think any GM, it's his responsibility to listen to anything. He may laugh at what he hears as an offer, but they have to listen. And, I don't know. I would love to know the exact conversation who was the GM in L.A. at the time when they called Edmonton and said, hey, what would you take for Gretzky? But I think the ownership was involved because there was also money involved and all that kind of stuff.
That was more Pocklington McNall, the owner-to-owner level.
$15 million was involved in that deal.
Yeah. And but anyhow, yes, you're right. No player is untouchable in this day and age because the thing is he's untouchable because we want him here. Next contract, he might walk. You never know that. Right. And so everybody's available.
JJ, trade deadline brings about different things and different images in different sports. But one image that stays in all sports in the last 20 years more than anything else, everything's about cap. How much salary is there? How much do you retain? What kind of contract is he on? Where does it go? Is that good or bad for sports?
I like it because I don't like baseball.
You don't like the sport?
No, I don't like the way baseball works.
Okay.
Dodgers. I mean, you just keep spending, and you're going to win in baseball eventually. In hockey, in basketball, to some degree in football, the fact that they can cancel contracts does change it a little bit. But Howie Roseman's been a maestro to get the Eagles to where they are and still be able to go after great players now and sign current players to big deal. I mean, that takes skill. To me, baseball is just throw as much money as you can at it. I mean, let's be honest. The Phillies are good now for one reason. John Middleton's spending a lot of money.
Yep.
And the Dodgers are winning World Series because what? They spend a ton of money. I think that takes away the chance for small markets. So I like the cap for that reason. The fact that we have to worry so much about dollars and cents as fans, maybe that's not so good. But most fans seem to really get into the manipulation of it and what do they have, so what can they do and all that. So I suppose if you push me up against the wall, I'd say I like the cap more than I don't like it.
All right, we'll get into the Flyers in a minute, but we'll talk with each of you guys about a different subject. First, Brad, you got the alumni do a lot of things in Philadelphia. The Carnival was a couple weeks ago. We talked about that. Friday Night Fights is coming up. Tell everybody what they can do and what the alumni's got coming up, the Warriors, your teams. Anything hot on the fire?
Well, yeah, you're right. Our alumni is always active. Our next big event is Friday Night Fights on March 28th. We bring in NHL tough guys, Flyer tough guys, and show the videos on the big screen. And then those players are on the stage talking about what they're thinking when they're beating the crap out of each other.
Yes.
And so
So much fun.
we have Rob Ray coming in, and Dave Brown coming in, of course. And we have Brian McGrattan and Riley Cote, two first-timers. Of course, Rob Ray's a first-timer as well.
Rob will be entertaining.
Yes, and we've invited back by popular demand Matthew Barnaby.
He's entertaining.
And so it's going to be a great night. It's going to be a real good night, and we're looking forward to it. And then the big news is we haven't announced it yet, but we're having an alumni weekend this year, alumni charity classic weekend, 3 events in 3 days, pickleball tournament, walk, run, and ride, and our annual golf tournament, all combined in 3 days. And so that's going to be a lot of fun. And the main goal is to bring the alumni guys back for a weekend so they can reconnect and have some laughs and tell some lies and how good we were. And
they just
all that
stretch
kind
the
of stuff.
truth a little.
That's
right.
right. And in the process, we'll make some nice money for all the Flyer alumni initiatives we have.
JJ, what year did you get here? 94?
93, actually.
If I told you in 1993 that there would be an alumni weekend with a pickleball tournament, you would have told me what?
What is pickleball? Because it didn't exist back then. But I want to say this. I've been here to see the alumni operate for 32 years, and Brad does an unbelievable job with it right now. I mean, I just it's quite an undertaking, first of all.
Yep.
But I mean, everybody who talks to Brad, I know you can't keep everybody happy all the time. But this guy does a great job, including people, getting word out, and never better since I've been here.
We actually have a golf trip to Ireland coming up as well in August, which we have. Now we have 15 alumni going on that, and that'll be a lot of fun.
Who's the Tiger Woods of the Flyers alumni? Is there one?
Well, there's quite a few guys that hit the ball very well.
Hit it far, but anybody can putt and chip?
I don't know.
Who would be
it's certainly not me.
Yeah.
But there's like Bush is a good golfer. He's not coming to Ireland, but I think he's a very good golfer.
Yeah, he can hit it a long way. He'll tell you how good he is. Just ask him. I'm trying to think of who I'd say is the best.
Neil Little's a nice player.
Golf anymore, but
Neil Little's a nice player.
Yeah, Neil Little can play a little.
Yeah.
A little.
One thing I want to mention. I know Brad, you're not a big fan of this. I'm not a big fan of it either. I don't know about you, JJ, but Ovechkin's pursuit of Gretzky. He's 10 away. He's going to get there eventually, whether he gets it this year or not. But launched an initiative with the V Foundation to give money to cancer research for kids. That's a pretty cool thing, isn't it?
It is. I mean, I almost wish they had started it earlier, but yeah, this is great. Anything for the kids, anything for helping get after cancer is a good thing, and this is getting so much attention. So this will do really well.
You came here in 1993 from Utica, New York.
Lovely.
You've been here forever. Obviously, you took over in some ways for Gene Hart, Mike Emmerich, a long list of great Flyer TV voices. What's your favorite thing about doing Flyers hockey? You've done different networks, different everything, but the one constant's been JJ.
I tell everybody this: when the puck drops, I'm in the booth tomorrow night. When that puck drops and the game starts, nothing beats that. It's probably like that for a player too, I assume. But I mean, it's just you. I'm in my own world there. Nothing. It doesn't matter. There's all kinds of stuff going on, and Lord knows there's a lot of stuff going on right now. You just focus on the game, and you're kind of in your own zone. So I'll miss that. I'll miss when I retire, which is actually coming sooner rather than later.
How sooner? You got an announcement to make?
I don't know. They'll probably retire me. So you ask somebody. Ask Jonesy. He knows. But
he knows.
He may know. He could make that call at any time. I mean, he's
him as the president of the team.
Yeah.
How you told him when you were retiring?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I'm going to make that call. I mean, I might make that call, but usually they tell you when you retire.
Brad, JJ once told me, we were at lunch one time, and they said, what's your biggest regret as a Flyer announcer? And right away, no hesitation, he said, I never got a chance to do a game that Brad Marsh played in.
You remember that well, don't
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, yeah.
I think I said that about Mark Howe as well. But, no, it's my biggest regret. You know what my biggest regret is. I don't get to call the games after the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean,
The
that's
networks
the
jump
way
in.
life is, unfortunately, NBA, NHL with national TV.
It's the way it is, but it doesn't mean I have to like it.
No, you don't have to like it. And
Now, back in the day, we didn't really have the national broadcast, but even when it went national to a certain extent, did they still show the home broadcast?
Still did
locals
it,
still did. That's what I thought.
The last year that was 93-94 when the Rangers won. Sam Rosen
that long ago?
got to call. Yeah, the next
Wow.
year Fox came in, and 94-95, and that's when it changed.
Dave
I
Coacher's
still
my-
remember this. We were sitting at a table kind of like this at breakfast. It was Steve Coates, Gene Hart, Gary Dornhofer, and me, and it was late in the 94-95 season, and the topic came up about the playoffs. The Flyers were making this big surge. They hadn't been in the playoffs in 5 years, and they were making this big surge after they made the Leclerc, Desjardins trade, and we're all getting excited. And then Coatsy said, "Yeah, it's too bad this year if you make it past the time it was the second round, the networks come in." And Gene had no idea, and he goes, "What are you talking about?" We said, "Yeah, once the playoffs go by the second round, the networks come in and the locals don't do the games anymore." And he was literally crestfallen. And he goes, "So I can't say the Flyers win the Stanley Cup? The Flyers win the Stanley Cup anymore?"
Can, but they
Coatsy
haven't.
says, "You can say it, but nobody's going to hear you."
listening. Nobody's listening. Yeah.
My buddy Dave
That's
Coacher
Coatsy.
with the Vegas Golden Knights last year, same thing. He does their TV. They won the Stanley Cup a couple years ago and wasn't able to be part of it.
Yeah, but he got to call one in Boston as a radio guy, so I
Yeah,
don't
he-
have as much sympathy
and he's
for
from
him.
Boston.
There's a lot of us now that we will never call it. So
Yep,
so it's-
and that's
It's
part.
unfortunate. That's part of the growth of hockey, especially in the United States,
Yeah.
because a lot of people talk about Gene Hart. Oh, he taught me the game of hockey. I
Exactly,
learned
no
the game
doubt
of
about
hockey through Gene, and I think that scenario plays itself out in every TV market in the United States.
yeah.
Yep,
And it's
pretty-
unfortunate because the Nationals might be polished or whatever term you
They
want
are.
to use for them, but there's not the same affinity to them
No
or
doubt.
whatever adjective I'm looking for.
Let me
It's
be the guy to say
unfortunate.
we got to take a break now. But JJ, you're as good or better than anybody doing hockey nationally right now.
Yeah,
and
but it doesn't have
should-
I don't want you to go away with that. It has nothing to do with being good or not. It's exactly what Brad talks about. The fans are used to us.
Yeah.
And so they think anybody who's playing it down the middle is biased to the other team.
Yep.
Yes.
But second of all, there's just not going to be the same passion. I mean,
Nope.
if I'm on the mic and the Flyers win the Stanley Cup, I am going crazy. Kenny Albert's going to call it. He's going to call it well. Sean McDonough, whoever does it. But they're not going to be as excited as I would be. And
No.
I mean, that's natural. But they're going to do a great job.
They're packing their briefcase and
Yep.
leaving.
Exactly.
And once again,
I'm
no
going down to sip
disrespect,
from
and
the
you're
cup.
having no disrespect.
Local
either.
versus
not at all.
national, a
Yeah.
non-ending story.
But we need the national dollar bill.
There's no question about that.
We're gonna
And
come
those
back.
dollars are going up.
Talk about the trade deadline. Danny Briere, Keith Jones, what the Flyers doing last night's game, tomorrow night's game. Talk all about hockey here on the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. From here at Chickies and Pete's in Glassboro, on the campus of Rowan University. Jim Jackson, our guest. My co-host is Brad Marsh. Come see them. We're back right after this. Stay with us.
Hi, it's Pete from Chickie and Pete's. Wrap up your workday with the all-new Chickies and Pete's Happy Hour with unbeatable specials weekdays from 4 to 6 p.m. Enjoy half-price orders of Chickies medium and tender wings, one of our tasty and delicious pizzas, or an order of mouth-watering hot, cold, or fried shrimp. Plus $3 domestic bottled beers, $5 Tito's, and $6 seltzers. It's the all-new Happy Hour weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. only at Chickies and Pete's.
At Independence Blue Cross, we take care of the people who take care of you. Everyday heroes like firefighters, police officers, teachers, farmers, and healthcare workers. Doctors and hospitals across the region have IBX, and they know what it means to have reliable access to care. So whether you're saving lives or just trying to live a healthier life, count on IBX, the region's #1 health insurer for 85 years. Learn more at IBX.com.
Payroll Service Solutions was established in 2001 to cater to the payroll needs of small to medium-sized businesses. Payroll Service Solutions offers unparalleled customer service while they deliver a complete and accurate payroll. When calling Payroll Service Solutions, you will never be put into a voicemail or go through a series of prompts to get to a person. All customer service representatives are extensively trained to handle all of your payroll needs, therefore saving you time. They value each and every one of their clients. No account is too small. Call Payroll Service Solutions today at 1-866-PAY-EASY for a no-obligation review of your payroll needs. That number again is 1-866-PAYEASY. Payroll Service Solutions.
Every day, women like me go to the doctor for annual checkups for conditions like breast cancer. Early detection saved my life. But women with disabilities face a cruel reality: inaccessible medical facilities and equipment.
I went to a doctor's office I was told was accessible, but when I got there, I couldn't get through the front door.
Our veterans deserve better. Help PVA fight for access at pva.org.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Jolovitz and former Flyer Brad Marsh.
Alrighty, welcome back here to Chickies and Pete's. Time now for the Independence Blue Cross Fearless Player of the Week. And this week it's Ivan Fedotov, who beat Winnipeg and played well last night in the relief role versus Calgary. Didn't get the job done, but not easy to do. Remember to choose Independence Blue Cross today and begin to live fearless with Brad Marsh and Jim Jackson. Brad, the Flyers have a 7-game homestand. Last night was the first of 4 points down behind 5 teams in this glug in the East. 20 games to go. I know how badly you want to make the playoffs. It's going to be tough, but
Wasn't a good start.
Wasn't a good start. 7-game homestand, though. They got a chance to make some A's, starting with Winnipeg, who they just beat tomorrow night.
Well, yes, a 7-game homestand, and, you know, they can really make a move. But as I said, it was a bad start to the homestand last night. Calgary, and you may know better, last in scoring in the NHL.
They scored 1 goal in their last 3 games.
Yeah,
and
whatever.
4 in the first period.
Yep.
Yeah, and just when you think, it wasn't that long ago where we were thinking, okay, what draft, how is the junior draft, and where are we going to slot in? And then all of a sudden the boys are back in it. And as a former player, I get excited because they need to be in the playoffs.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden they're back in it, and you get excited again, and last night was very, very disappointing.
You know what made it disappointing, Brad, is I looked at in between the second and third period, I looked at the scores, and 3 teams in front of them were losing in regulation. They all went on to lose in regulation.
Yeah.
So it could have been they would have been within 2 points of a playoff berth, first of all, but they would have gained on 3 teams in front. It was a costly loss.
I was watching with my wife, Amy, who's not a huge hockey fan, but last night I said, dang, Calgary scored. And we're talking for a minute, and she said, is that the replay? I said, no, they just scored again.
Yeah.
Tough night for Sam, Jim, but he's played pretty well.
It was. I mean, I don't know. The first one was deflected. I didn't like the last one, the up high one, but the guys are beating the goalies with those shots up near the ear a lot now because of the positioning the goalies are going in, which is kind of a fundamental to go down and cover low. I understand why Torts made that move, but I'm thinking long term, Sam's your guy. I probably would have stuck with him. If he gives up a 4th or a 5th, okay, now it's getting to be. But he wanted to change the momentum of the game, and it did work. I mean, the Flyers scored, and then they scored again. You know, they got within 1, so Torts knew what he was doing. But, Sam's going to have to bounce back. He's their guy. He's the only guy that's getting him into the playoffs, I think. So, he's got a big outing tomorrow. I'm assuming he's going. You never know.
Well, they beat Winnipeg last week. We'll talk about that in a second. But Brad, last night a couple of recent ex-Flyers came back. Morgan Frost and Joel Farabee, first deal the Flyers made. A lot of people saw it as a cap deal. I did, trying to get a little bit lower, maybe for free agents next year, whatever. Are you missing Morgan and Joel?
No, I said at the time when they traded them that, they were really good draft picks with a lot of potential. But how many years later, they were still with a lot of potential. We were waiting for them to come out, to flourish or to blossom or whatever you want to say. And so I had no problem with them trading those 2 players because they weren't part of the future, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They were given every opportunity to, and hey, all the best. And I've seen a lot of players that go on to a new organization and have a great career. And as a team, you can't sit back. Like all his teammates are excited for him. They hope they have a good rest of their career, but you can't Well, they might turn out, so therefore we're not going to trade him. You can't do that.
Well, JJ, what about the kids the Flyers got? One scored last night. Pelletier also.
Yeah, Kuzmenko is 29. He's a very talented. In fact, as I look at the trade now, I'd say he's the most talented player in the trade. He has tremendous scoring skill, which the Flyers actually need. He is not the best defensive player. That's something that John Tortorella will work on if he stays here. He's also a guy they could flip before the deadline. I mean, he's a guy who's an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. Are they going to pay him? I don't know. So if there's interest, he is a guy who's twice in his career gone on real surges offensively. If he goes on one of those for a team, he's going to be a real bonus for the playoffs. So it's not out of the realm that he gets traded before the deadline. But if he doesn't, he's a guy who's already helped the power play a little bit, and they can consider signing him, but I don't think they'll sign him for what he's making now. And Pelletier is a young kid who has a reputation of being just a go after in the forecheck guy who can do a lot of little things. He's got some skill, not real fast, but quick, not big, obviously. We'll see where it goes. So far, I think he's been kind of feeling his way out as he makes his way here. But you're right about what you said initially. This was a trade about clearing a lot of space. Farabee's contract, Joel was not playing up to his contract, and so now you've got that money plus the cap going up. The Flyers have space going into the summer for sure.
It's interesting when you look at contracts, guys, in sports. When Rasmus Ristolainen signed his deal, everybody ripped it. People thought it was ridiculous. $5 million a year for the duration it was. Now, a couple years later, it looks like a bargain, and he's on the block.
Friendly.
Cap friendly.
Love that word, cap friendly.
Yes.
You think he goes?
I think my $250,000 that I made was very cap friendly.
That was extremely cap friendly. There wasn't a cap back then, but but it's cap friendly now. I would say, Jolly, that the chances of him going have lessened for a couple reasons. One is he's playing so well that he's their best defenseman right now. He's outperforming everybody right now.
You take him over Sanheim right now?
Right now.
Okay.
I mean, for the year, if I was to vote for Barry Ashby right now, the trophy for the best defenseman, I would still probably lean Sanheim. But over the last month to 6-7 weeks, Ristolainen's been a horse. I mean, and he's now in the first power play. So I would say that the chances of him being if they get wowed, as you said earlier, if somebody makes a call, or actually, Marcia, you said that if somebody makes a call to Danny and has this incredible offer, Buffalo wants Risto back and they want to give us Dylan Cousins, he's not going to say no necessarily, but it will take a big offer, I think, to get Risto now. Because if you trade him and you don't replace him with anything on the blue line, I don't think the team has enough depth to recover from that.
That's
and
my
make the
big
playoffs.
thing about Risto is because we don't have anyone that's going to take his spot
right
and
now.
his
And
size.
part of a rebuild is winning.
Yes.
And if all of a sudden he's out of the lineup, our chances of winning not only this year down the stretch but next year are greatly diminished. And to me, his value or his stock has gone up.
Yeah.
And the one guy that we always talk about, Marcy, Scott Lawton, who's been on the trade deadline forever.
Yes.
Put out a genius tweet last week. I don't know if you saw this, but of the Last Supper, Flyers were in Winnipeg, had a team dinner, I guess. Scott Lawton put out a cryptic tweet. Maybe this is the Last Supper, literally. Scott Lawton's such a great guy. I personally think they're getting a million offers. To me, it's 50-50 whether he's dealt, but great team guy, great glue guy. But you played, obviously, Jim and I didn't. What's that glue guy like? I mean, he gives you everything on the ice, plays every role, plays well, assistant captain, heart of the coach on the bench. But what's that like in the dressing room when a guy like that leaves, if he leaves?
Well, if Scotty were to leave, I mentioned it earlier, but everybody is pumped for him. Kind of like when Kimo went to Chicago and had a chance to win a cup, and everybody was pumped that he did win the cup. So if Scotty does leave, everybody's cheering for him, number one. And number two, a guy like Scotty, and every team has him in every sport, what he does on the ice or the playing field is not necessarily as important as what he does in the dressing room or locker room. You have young players, young draft picks, and so on, and to have a veteran like Scotty or whomever sitting in the dressing room, that bodes well for the future. That's part of the rebuild, too, when you get young kids in. And all those years, you followed hockey a long time. You look at Toronto Maple Leafs when Harold Ballard owned the team. in the 80s, they had top pick after top pick after top pick, but they had such a bad dressing room.
Yeah.
And they had a few bad apples in there, and it just the draft picks never flourished or never lived up to potential. And the dressing room's an important thing.
JJ, I want to ask you a multi-layered question. That's a great point, Brad, and we'll see what happens Friday afternoon with the deadline. I got to ask a question about you one time. What's JJ's DNA? Because you did baseball, obviously from Utica, you've done hockey forever and ever. So one, what do you consider your DNA? What did you consider when you were growing up and wanted to be a professional broadcaster? And two, people think that hockey announcers or baseball announcers sleep 20 hours, wake up at 5 o'clock, go to the stadium, do a game. Not quite. So DNA, and what's a JJ day like on a day of a game or even not the day of a game?
The DNA, I mean, I grew up an all-sports fan. So I tried to play all four, and I will say that at a relatively young age realized I wasn't going to get to where I wanted to get that way.
My club, yeah.
So my father said, hey, you're always talking while the games are on. Why don't you get into broadcasting? So from the time I was pretty young, I wanted to be a broadcaster. But I did not care which sport. I love football, you know that. I love basketball, college more than pro, and obviously hockey and baseball. I wasn't much into soccer. That wasn't as big when I was a kid. But the four majors when I was a kid, if an NFL team had come calling and I was an NFL announcer now, I'd be just as happy as if an MLB or NBA or NHL. So it really didn't matter as far as the DNA.
A lot of people ask, what was your favorite team? And the object was to play in the NHL.
Yes.
I could care less what team
Yes.
I played in. So
Yes.
your object was to announce for a professional sports
sure.
team.
In fact,
you could care less.
I love the Rangers. I grew up in New York, upstate New York. I hated Gary Dornhofer. He was always bothering my hero, Ed Giacomin, the goalie. He's always in his crease, and Bobby Clark was always slashing my guys, and
Sports
Dave Schultz was
makes
beating
strange
Dale
bedfellows.
Rolfe up and all that. My father hated those guys. When I took the job down here, I remember my father had passed away, and I looked up and said, you got to go where the bread buttered, Dad.
Yeah, exactly.
And obviously, I'm not a Rangers fan and haven't been for a long time.
What sport wouldn't you be comfortable calling?
Sailing?
I mean, I don't know soccer well enough. I could probably pick it up and figure it out. But I've called some lacrosse. What would I love tennis, so I'd love to call that actually. Golf's pretty easy. What would I not do well?
Hockey's the hardest sport there is.
Yeah, I guess. Baseball to me is more of a challenge. But
Baseball's a storytelling game, but hockey is.
I'm laughing while you're telling the story. Your longtime color guy, Billy Clement.
Yes.
He tells the story. He had to do ping pong in the
Oh,
Olympics.
yes, absolutely. Table tennis now. Get it right. Table tennis.
And he still has it down pat
Oh.
with the names, and he studied it. And
Yeah.
Billy,
he had to do different sports when he got that
Yeah.
Olympic gig, and he could adapt to anything, that guy. So, but
Table tennis.
I mean, you go to Olympic sports, I could definitely come up with some sports. Fencing, I couldn't do that.
Let's take a quick break, but I wanted fans to know, people listening and watching, what a day's like in the TV broadcast. I've called you at all hours of the day about doing this show or
You
whatever.
usually call on game day, I must admit, Jolly.
Every
I tell
day's
you,
a game.
on game day, I hardly take any calls.
But
so.
even non-game day,
Merle
you're
Reese
working
doesn't
all
talk on the phone on game day,
No.
or the day before.
Who's
Not
that?
much.
Merle
Meryl,
Reese, the
wife makes
Eagles
pancakes.
announcer, does not
Yep.
talk on the phone the day before or the day of a game. Saves his voice.
I have to talk now and tell you that we're going to take a break, come back and find out what a play-by-play guy's day is like. We'll talk more about the Flyers. Danny Briere, his first trade deadline as a GM with meaningful results. Much more as On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross, and we thank them so much. Continues from Rowan at Chickies, and we're back right after this.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. Now, for a limited time, it's buy one, get one free snow crab legs every Tuesday. Buy one, get one free, and enjoy the sweet, delicate flavor of snowy white crab meat. Pair it with one of our handcrafted cocktails like the Stoli Vanilla Creamsicle or the Bourbon Peach Sweet Tea. Top it off with Chicky and Pete's world famous crab fries. Buy one, get one free snow crab legs every Tuesday for a limited time. Restrictions apply only at Chickies and Pete's.
At Independence Blue Cross, we take care of the people who take care of you. Everyday heroes like firefighters, police officers, teachers, farmers, and healthcare workers. Doctors and hospitals across the region have IBX, and they know what it means to have reliable access to care. So whether you're saving lives or just trying to live a healthier life, count on IBX, the region's #1 health insurer for 85 years. Learn more at IBX.com.
Payroll Service Solutions was established in 2001 to cater to the payroll needs of small to medium-sized businesses. Payroll Service Solutions offers unparalleled customer service while they deliver a complete and accurate payroll. When calling Payroll Service Solutions, you will never be put into a voicemail or go through a series of prompts to get to a person. All customer service representatives are extensively trained to handle all of your payroll needs, therefore saving you time. They value each and every one of their clients. No account is too small. Call Payroll Service Solutions today at 1-866-PAY-EASY for a no-obligation review of your payroll needs. That number again is 1-866-PAYEASY. Payroll Service Solutions.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Jolovitz and former Flyer Brad Marsh.
And it's time now for the Smart Stat of the Week, brought to you by Payroll Service Solutions. Our buddy Danny, call them today at 1-866-PAY-EASY. That's 1-866-PAY-EASY. The Flyers have 20 games left, 4 points out of the second wild card, 5 teams are behind. It is a crowded race. As Andy Reid may say, time's yours, guys. Let's get it on. That's Mills Lane and Andy Reid combination. That was your Flyers Smart Stat of the Week. Right. Brought to you by Payroll Service Solutions. Call them today at 1-866-PAY-EASY for the smart choice in payroll services. Again, Payroll Service Solutions, catering to small and medium-sized business to handle all of your payroll needs. Call them once again at 1-866-PAY-EASY. In a minute, we'll talk about why Matvei Michkov and Dustin Wolf was intriguing last night. Who? We'll tell you in a second. But first, JJ's TV day. What's a typical game day for you?
I'm going to make this brief because it's long. But, I mean, first of all, preparation is all year. I tell my broadcast coaching students that. It's not like you just cram and be good.
But let me interrupt for a second. You believe in my theory, John Wooden's line, failing to prepare is preparing to fail, right?
No doubt. Preparation is one of my absolute keys. You have to do it. Over-preparation to me is impossible. Some people think you can. I don't think you can. Anyway, so day of game, I have a checklist of 14 things, and I do. But I've done a lot of the work the day before, watching the other team play their game, charting it, getting all the notes from them, researching their reports, going to the Flyers practice, talking to the players, and doing the roster reports and the game notes. But the day of the game, I'm big into checklists, Marshy. They do two things: organize you, and they give you a feeling of accomplishment. You check things off. So I do the 14 things. And when I get those 14 things done, I know I'm ready for the broadcast. So I wake up, do those, go to the skate, come back, do more of those, get that done, take a nap.
You take the hockey nap, huh?
I do take a hockey nap. No longer than 40 minutes, no shorter than 20. Sleep experts say shorter than 20 doesn't do you any good. Longer than 40, you get into too deep of sleep and you'll be groggy.
Marcy, did you do that in your day? Did you do the game day nap?
A lot of players do 3-hour naps.
Does.
Yeah.
I didn't know they do now, but I didn't know if they did then.
Oh, no, that's a standard in
How long
in
was
hockey.
yours? You made it long?
I was more of a napper.
Long.
No, short nap.
Short
nap, yeah. And I usually went back to the game with the trainers. So
Oh,
I was
early.
first one back
You were
in
early.
the first one back in the dressing room,
Yeah.
and just like to sit around and really do nothing. You
just take it in.
Yeah, just take it in, talk, and you see all your teammates as they come in. Some came in a cab, et cetera, but a lot took the team bus at the time. So.
Morning skate, and that brings up something else, a little pet peeve time. It's become cliche now, guys, in all sports. ESPN, CBS, every network does it. To show guys as they walk into the arena.
Oh, yeah.
Like anybody freaking cares. It's a fashion show. What do you do that for?
What you just mentioned.
Who cares?
No, everybody cares. That's the fans care.
Why?
Rally.
It's for
because
click on
yes,
the social media.
Exactly.
Oh.
That's what it is. It's what it's for. Why do you think David Pasternak dresses up so much? Why do you think half these
obviously,
players?
yeah.
Now the football
Well, if you
players
bought a
take it
new
to
suit,
another level.
people might be interested in what you were wearing.
That's
to
a
the
big
game.
if.
I doubt that. Yeah, could be.
Do you have a suit, Charlie?
I do have one.
Okay, all right, there you go.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I mean that's because I don't mind. Like yesterday, we showed Farabee and Frost coming in because they're coming in as visitors.
That's a story, though.
Yeah.
But if they were coming in on a Thursday and they were still here, I didn't turn the TV on to see what Joel Farabee's wearing.
Yeah.
Some
One
people
thing I
do.
like about the hockey, and they're showing all the sports, as you said, show them. I like that the hockey players, for the most part, are still traditional. It's a suit and tie,
Yeah.
or it's a jacket and a nice
Yes,
dress
I agree
shirt or
with that.
something. can't stand watching the other sports.
Yeah,
and,
some of the
and
football
they come
guys,
in and oh my
T-shirts.
goodness, what?
Yeah.
And to
Matt
me,
Collins?
what it says is, oh, look at me, look at me,
Yes,
look at me.
no
And
doubt.
they'll never in a million years pick that out to wear to a game, but they pick it out to wear to the game because they're going to get social media followers out. It drives me crazy.
Yeah.
And I'll take it one step further. I do not care what a wife wears to the game, and I don't want to see her before the game and what they wear to the game. Football's terrible for that.
Yeah.
Well, Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Well, she's not a wife yet, but
That's true.
but
That
you
is
know
true.
you know what I mean.
Yeah,
But,
I do know what you
But
mean.
I understand it. It's all for the social media
It is.
and so on
Yeah.
and so on.
And it's how the sports are sold now. So,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh, that's watching the game today, JJ, the Phillies game. And first of all, Topper was mic'd, or they had an interview with Topper in the
Baseball
dugout.
started?
Baseball started.
Holy moly!
Spring training. Detroit hit back-to-back home runs on 3
Wow,
pitches.
while he was talking?
While he was on, and his face. The first one he didn't
Who was
really care.
pitching?
Lazardo,
Oh,
who
no.
pitched very well and then had a little problem. So the first one goes 900 feet, ha ha ha, whatever. Second one, he didn't say much. Third one, they got rid of the interview and said, thanks for being with us, Topper. He looked like he was seething.
Oh,
But-
my, well, the main acquisition pitcher gives up back-to-back home runs.
But that wasn't the thing that drove me nuts. The other part, and I wasn't going to talk about this, but you're a great person to do it with. You used to do baseball and obviously never do it with hockey. Brad can talk about this as well. Cody Clemens playing first. His father, Roger, was doing the game. They have them both
I know
on
where
with
you're
Carl
going with
Ravitch.
this.
They're talking to Cody Clemens during the game. And Cody, my pet peeve is it's going to take that millionth of a second that a fielder doesn't pay attention to change the game. Cody Clemens said on the broadcast, oh, my God, guys, I forgot to hold them in on first because of what we were doing. This is during the game, Jimmy. To me, it's malpractice. It's ridiculous. I can't believe they do it. Can you?
Well, I've only known them to do it in all-star games where they're
Sunday
actually
night baseball
on the
every
field.
week.
When they're on the field,
On
they're
the
talking
field.
to them?
Yep.
During the game.
During the game.
Well, I'm not watching Sunday Night Baseball much anymore, as I didn't know that. That, to me, is wrong. I don't even like, and I don't think many of the players in hockey like, when they're talking to players on the bench. They're talking to the coaches, but now they're starting to talk to players on the bench
TV
during
money.
periods.
Yeah.
To me, that bench area is a sanctuary. That is where the players and coaches and train. That's for them only. Now, if it's a break and a guy comes in to get a couple words from the coach, I'll give you that. But they're now doing it and talking to players who are actually involved in the game. To me, that's going overboard. I don't think it needs to be. I don't really think you get many great interviews either out of that. The guys are in such game mode
Party
at that
line.
point.
What would
But
you do,
I'll
Rick?
say this about the baseball players, though. Some of the ones in the All-Star games, they gave them great stuff. That's
Oh,
why they're
yeah.
doing it more. That's why.
But
Why
then
do,
the
they, why
balls.
do they need free stuff when they make a gazillion million
That's
dollars?
true.
It drives me crazy. But
would
to
you
your
be
point,
like, Brad, if-
I do not like the players mic'd up, period.
Not just
And-
mic'd up, being interviewed.
Well, I don't like them interviewed. I don't like it. And I'll tell you what, I don't like when the camera's in the dressing room, the coach's pregame speech or
Yeah,
postgame
that's
speech. 'Cause
gone.
you mentioned the bench. To me,
Yeah.
like that is special territory there, or sacred territory,
It
or
was.
whatever.
It
and
isn't anymore. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm totally agree with you on that. But if you saw the documentary on the playoffs last year, did you see McDavid?
Oh, yeah.
That's a look. That's something no
His
one had
speech?
ever seen from Connor McDavid, and it changed my entire impression of the guy. I've never been a huge McDavid fan in terms of what he gives back to the game, or even that he even loves the game. Clearly, this guy wants to win. So it does, Marshy, give you insight you don't see or wouldn't get otherwise. I do agree with you, though. As a player, I would think I'm violated, especially if I'm Connor McDavid there. But clearly, that's not a side that he's wanted the public to see, because he would have shown it by now.
Well, yeah, he showed it a couple weeks ago in the Four Nations when he won the game in overtime.
Well, but he won. He lost in the finals.
Yeah,
and
that was a hell of a speech he gave.
and he was absolutely crushed. But even before he lost, when he blew up against
Game
his
2.
team, in Game 2, that was a side of him that not many people had ever seen. So we get that through those things, and they are somewhat censored. I mean, the teams get a look at him before they get out there, but I know in 24/7 Follow the Flyers around, this was 15 years ago now, 2010, Peter Laviolette was not exactly loving having the cameras around him all the time. But it's if anything, that there's more of that now, and it's going to continue because these documentaries are doing
All
really
about money,
well.
guys.
They're
All
doing
about
really
money.
well too.
I guess I'm old.
Me too. I mean, that's what it is. We're old
But
school.
you're right, too, Brad. I mean, money will invade everything. Don Ohlmeyer said the questions about sports, the answer is money no matter what the question is. I mean, what do you is there something that's way too far that you see on the horizon that's just kind of like the Armageddon of you can't do this? Because to me, interviewing baseball players on the field is already there.
Yeah, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I would agree with you because baseball is such a instantaneous reaction sport. You throw the ball, you hear the crack of the bat, you got to move. And if you're talking on the microphone or in the TV, you're gonna miss it.
Yeah, and baseball is also a think before the pitch kind of thing. So if your concentration is off just a bit, you're going to be in the wrong spot.
They can talk to the right fielder because
yeah,
they haven't talked to the batter yet.
Not the first baseman.
Yeah, that'll be where you're out of control. You're hearing the pitcher talk about what he's thinking about throwing. No, I don't think we're ever going to get to that.
All right, well, one guy.
I mean, it is how much is enough. But hey, we're seeing in politics. Who knows? You know, the levels, the change, things are changing.
Yep.
So I don't know how much is too much.
One guy they're not going to interview during the game is Matvei Michkov, unless a Russian guy does it. But obviously headed toward maybe Rookie of the Year, the Calder Trophy, which the Flyers never won. Got his 20th goal last night. Does a lot of great things. Brad, if I said to you before the draft that 9 months from now, Matvei Michkov and Dustin Wolf would be a little microcosm for a Rookie of the Year battle, but Dustin Wolf playing really well, a couple guys up for it. What do you think about Michkov's chances, and if you know any of the other guys? Because 4 or 5 guys are having real good years.
Well, I think JJ is a little more qualified because you see everybody play and you can comment on them. Where I watch our team play, I could care less what the rest of the league does.
Yeah, we haven't seen too much of the other candidates. We saw Wolf last night. Haven't seen much of Montreal, Lane Hudson, and Celebrini we've seen twice. Macklin Celebrini has a good chance to win it, maybe for not the right reason.
Because he was the first pick.
I really like him. Yep, that helps. I really like him as a player. I think he might end up better than Connor Bedard. But the reason he's going to win will be the Canadian media, as much as anything, because they get their guys and they push him. And Matvei being Russian is going to hurt him that way. It's just going to hurt him. He's just not going to get as many votes for that reason. And secondly, Celebrini, as you said, is the first overall. But Lane Hudson might steal the show completely. He has 44 assists. He's going to go over 50 assists as a rookie defenseman. That is hard to do. Michkov, by the way, had his goal taken away last night. He's back down to 19. They gave it to Couturier.
How did they think it was Michkov's goal?
Yeah, after the game, they gave it to Couturier. They said it wasn't completely over the line. So, anyhow, the bottom line is he's going to end up he and Celebrini are going to probably be close points-wise. Hudson might be above both of them. And then you throw a goalie in. How do you measure him against the other three? It's a great race, and it's going to be determined in the last 20 games.
Michkov's going to have to get real hot down the stretch.
He is.
He's going to be a difference maker.
He's going to have to outpoint Celebrini by more than just a little.
Yes, and he's got to have some big goals in there, not just a 5-3.
Right.
He scores a third goal and it's meaningless.
For sure.
He needs some winning goals in there. He needs to dominate.
I think the Canadian media got that goal taken away last night. I think this is a conspiracy. We'll talk about that.
He did go to Couturier.
Could be.
But he's technically dual citizen. So
No. Well, we'll talk about citizenship and Matvei Michkov, what the best thing JJ likes about him with Brad and you guys. Hope you're having a good time. Chris Hermer's producing this fine show, and we're back from Chickies and Pete's at Rolling with final segment on the ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross, right after this.
Hi, it's Pete from Chickie and Pete's. Wrap up your workday with the all-new Chickies and Pete's Happy Hour with unbeatable specials weekdays from 4 to 6 p.m. Enjoy half-price orders of Chickies medium and tender wings, one of our tasty and delicious pizzas, or an order of mouth-watering hot, cold, or fried shrimp. Plus $3 domestic bottled beers, $5 Tito's, and $6 seltzers. It's the all-new Happy Hour, weekdays 4 to 6 p.m., only at Chickies and Pete's.
At Independence Blue Cross, we take care of the people who take care of you. Everyday heroes like firefighters, police officers, teachers, farmers, and healthcare workers. Doctors and hospitals across the region have IBX, and they know what it means to have reliable access to care. So whether you're saving lives or just trying to live a healthier life, count on IBX, the region's #1 health insurer for 85 years. Learn more at IBX.com.
Payroll Service Solutions was established in 2001 to cater to the payroll needs of small to medium-sized businesses. Payroll Service Solutions offers unparalleled customer service while they deliver a complete and accurate payroll. When calling Payroll Service Solutions, you will never be put into a voicemail or go through a series of prompts to get to a person. All customer service representatives are extensively trained to handle all of your payroll needs, therefore saving you time. They value each and every one of their clients. No account is too small. Call Payroll Service Solutions today at 1-866-PAY-EASY for a no-obligation review of your payroll needs. That number again is 1-866-PAYEASY. Payroll Service Solutions.
WBCB is now on your FM dial at 107.3, serving Bucks, Burlington, and Mercer counties since 1957. You can now listen to all your WBCB favorites crystal clear on 107.3 FM. A new age for WBCB on a new frequency, 107.3.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Jolovitz and former Flyer Brad Marsh.
Interesting season for the Flyers, who are kind of in no man's land. The trade deadline coming. A lot of trades, a lot of people will be up to it. Follow it, and we'll have a lot of fun with it. We're having a lot of fun now with JJ and Brad Marsh. Brad, ask you a question. What Flyer this year have you seen make the most improvement? I'll give you a guy. To me, it's more like a comeback player of the year, although way too young to be a comeback player of the year. Nothing was really wrong with him other than a little injury last year. Noah Cates has had a hell of a year. Had a great rookie year, kind of went back last year, had a wrist problem, but he's become the jack of all trades and not master of none. He's very good. Who's lit your lamp?
Well, I would agree with your pick for Noah Cates. You get tapped on the shoulder to play this position and then tapped on the shoulder to play this position, and quite often you find yourself in no man's land when everybody is healthy or whatever. But he seems to rise to the occasion every time. He seems to rise to the occasion, whatever that occasion is asked of him by Torts or the coaching staff. And so it's kind of neat to see a utility player, if I can use that term, be that important to the team. You had mentioned, and I agree, that Sanheim's play had slipped is the wrong word. He's not as dominating as he was. But and from previous shows, Jolly, I'm a huge Sanheim fan because 2 years ago he was in no man's land, or maybe it's 3, and he went away and had that summer where he worked out and recommitted and all that. Then last year he was like, whoa. And then everyone said, okay, maybe has he hit the ceiling? And then he started this year, like he raised the bar again. So I'm a huge Travis fan. Winning the gold medal and all that kind of stuff, that's such an emotional high. And, maybe it's going to take a little bit to get back from that. I don't know. But
it has for Travis.
I'm a huge Sanheim fan.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say his play has slipped as much as he hit a really high peak early, and he's kind of steady. I just think Ristolainen has gotten better as the years gone along. So he would be my choice, along with Cates, as the two that have just really gotten better as the years gone along, Ristolainen and Cates. Of the others, I'm not sure there's anybody who really jumps out. Forster's pretty much where I expected him to be. Tippett's up and down.
Love Tippett.
Oh, he's so much fun. He's their most exciting player, I think.
We need
Michkov's
him,
tremendous, but with speed, Tippett does things that few players can do.
He did a move last night. I forget when the whole place. Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
But then he lost the puck right after that.
Yes.
But Tippett is a perfect example of a player that we got in a trade for a player that said, I'm only going here. Fletcher did a heck of a job because we had a first-round pick and Tippett. And so, as you know, I always say the pro scouts are so valuable. So when Danny's putting trade feelers out there for this person, I agree 100%. We don't really need another draft pick. But if we can find another player for whatever reason was a high pick, but he just didn't mesh with the team that picked him.
That is
all kinds of those
Dylan
players.
Cousins is the guy I think could be that guy.
But bringing that in the fall, guys, players tend to pick on rookies, test themselves, see if they're ready. Same thing in any job in life. If you're a rookie and you have peers that aren't, they're going to test you and see what you might be able to give them. And they're going to do that with Danny at the deadline. Danny's a smart guy, a patient guy. How do you see?
He's not a rookie anymore, though.
Not a rookie, theoretically, but this is the far and away the biggest trade deadline of his young career.
Well, I mean, last year was just as big as this year. They're all going to be big. I mean, why would this year be? I mean, he had to figure out the Sean Walker situation last year.
That's true.
He got a first-round pick for him. I don't know as if there's going to be much more movement this year. I really don't, because he's done so much to stockpile picks in this next draft. Now, he could get picks for the 26th draft. They may need to pick up another pick or two there. But I think he also understands that it's about to. Owen Tipp is 26. Noah Cates is 26. You can't continue to push it 5 or 6 years down the road anymore. It's got to be more like 2 or 3 years down the road. So I really think they're looking to make hockey trades. So if they make a hockey trade like that, it becomes a bigger trade deadline than last year. But they might not make any moves besides the one they've already made. So does that make it a less important trade deadline than last year? No, I think they're all important. Sometimes they're important in what you don't do.
I think it's going to. Sorry, it's going to be the trade deadline. You had a lot of focus and a lot of talk on that, but with the cap going up and with our new cap space from our trades and all that, I think the free agency is going to be very interesting for the Flyers.
I would go with what you said there, Jolly, about the off season coming up.
Okay.
It's a huge off season.
Well, listen, 10 teams can win the Cup this year. Obviously, there's a few at the top. Tampa made a big trade today. There's no Goliath in the NHL right now.
Nope.
Florida lost to Chuk from the Four Nations with a rib injury. Maybe he's back for the playoffs. Do you see a lot happening in your gut, guys? Is the next 44 hours or whatever it is going to be a huge,
for the
Flyers
board
for the whole NHL?
League? It could be. Jack Hughes is done for the year.
Yep.
That just came out. So New Jersey might be a little more active than we thought. There's some teams, again, because there's no Goliath, there's a lot of teams that think they can win the Stanley Cup and think maybe they're that 1 or 2 players away. So I think we're going to see a lot of action. I'm not so sure we're going to see a player of the ilk of Mikko Rantanen move, but he's already been moved. There's already been some JT Miller. There's already been some really good players moved. So, I mean, when you look at it, now I think about Jones on top of that. There's 3 big trades have already taken place as far as big names. So how many more big names will move? I don't know.
The thing is I always chuckle at the trade deadline because, to me, the biggest trade deadline move or acquisition was the New York Islanders in 1980.
Yeah.
A long time ago, they got Butch Goring.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then they go on to win 4 Stanley Cups.
Yep.
And he was the glue in that dressing room, what they were missing, and so on and so on. And ever since then, every GM is looking for that Butch Goring trade.
And I can't wait to hear this. Friday about 5 or 6 o'clock. This team won the trade deadline. They're going to win the Stanley Cup. Very rarely happens.
Never happens.
Yeah, first round gone.
Well, it happened with the Islanders, but it doesn't happen very often.
You got traded, Marcy, at the deadline. I mean, we saw Scott Lawton's tweet about the Last
deadline?
Supper.
Oh.
I thought you were traded at the deadline.
No.
Oh, okay, my mistake. Then when you're having those dinners, team dinners, around the deadline, certain guys know pretty much are not going to be dealt. Is there an uneasiness with guys in general? What's it like as the deadline nears?
I think the players nowadays accept more so than we did because there's no social media talk. There's no this. And the general managers kept everything close. And every time there was a trade, you were always surprised about it back in the day.
Yeah.
But now there's so much chatter, and everybody that's a sports whatever is predicting Lawton's going to be traded. We had 6 or 7 scouts at the game last night watching him, and so that's been tweeted all over. And so I think players expect their teammates are going to be moved every year.
I will say this, though, about the current Flyers regime, Danny Briere, Keith Jones, Dan Hilferty, they keep things quiet because no one saw the Cutter-Gauthier trade coming. So there could be a big trade in the offing. We will be the last to know. We'll know when they release it.
That's great. You never know.
If people think because I worked with him for 17 years that I haven't, none. He is so good at Keith Jones at keeping stuff quiet. So we don't really know what's going on. They're not going to come out and say it. That's for sure.
It should be fun. Next 44 hours. I know we just got a minute, Jim. I know you do broadcast coaching. You want to pump that for a second?
Yeah, JimJacksonBroadcasting.com is the website if you want to find some information. It's one-on-one coaching for broadcasting, not just play-by-play, but whether it's anchoring or talk shows or podcasts or sideline reporting. And I've done it since 2020. Over 100 kids. It's been so rewarding. I'm your mentor for as long as you want me once you do the program. So.
That's great. Good stuff. Brad, you got the fight night coming up and the alumni weekend. Tell us again when the alumni weekend is, one fight night, and how fans.
Fight
get
night
in
is
touch.
March 28th, and the alumni weekend is June 21, 22, and 23.
And then you go to Ireland in August.
Going to Ireland in August, and then we have our annual fantasy camp in end of August, and so they can go on flyersalumni.net, get all the information, and so on and so on.
You can catch Jim Jackson on the Flyers game tomorrow night on NBC Sports Philadelphia with Brian Boucher. Last question. Favorite partner? I'm putting you on the spot.
I'd never give you a favorite. Are you kidding me? I've been blessed to have the best partners
really
I've
have.
ever. I mean, Steve Coates is my first partner on radio, then Gary Dornhofer, Keith Jones, Brian Boucher, Bill Clement. I said Josie, but
Okay.
I mean, there's just no. I've been blessed. They've all been national guys, or Coatsy who's Coatsy. I mean, I've been blessed.
We're all blessed to be able to do this show. It's a lot of fun. We thank Chickies and Pete's so much at Rowan University. Had a great time. Next week we'll be in Bordentown with another Flyer guest. Thanks so much for being here, Jimmy. Appreciate it. Best of luck. Marcy, best of luck. See you April 2nd.
Yes,
Good
sir.
luck with Fight Night and everything. Chris Summer, thank you for producing this program. Stephen Lawler back at the station did a great job. We appreciate that. For Jim Jackson, Brad Marsh, I'm Paul Jolovitz from Chickies and Pete's in Rowan, at Rowan and Glassboro for the Independence Blue Cross on the ice saying great night. Hopefully a great night for the Flyers tomorrow night. Great trade deadline, and I can't speak English. Go Flyers.
He needs to go to the school.
You're listening to 1490 WBCB and on your FM dial at 107.3 W297CL Levittown.